Let's start today off with a pattern break. For decades, Africa has been the place where raw materials leave and value arrives later somewhere else. Trucks roll out, ships sail away, and finished products come back with a markup and a lecture. But today, that pattern has snapped. In northern Mozambique, in a place most global analysts can't pronounce, a factory didn't just open, a decision did. In the Pepe district, Niassa province, Mozambique, they inaugurated a major graphite processing plant, not a pit, not a promise, not a feasibility study, but a working industrial facility. It's Chinese owned, African located, and it processes 200,000 metric tons per year. And suddenly, the EV future has an African address. So Africa isn't digging the future anymore, it's processing it. And remember, if you want more Africa First stories that Western media ignores, hit subscribe. We don't chase the headlines, we chase the truth. And by the end of this video, you'll understand why controlling graphite processing is so powerful. This week, Mozambique officially opened a $150 to $200 million graphite operation in the northern part of the country. The ribbon was cut by the president, Daniel Chapo, and the location was in the Pepe district in Niassa province. And this really matters because Mozambique is already one of the world's top graphite producers, but until now it mostly exported raw graphite. Dirt with potential. And this plant changes that. Mining, beneficiation, processing, all in one integrated chain, which means jobs that stay, skills that compound, and value that no longer boards a ship unfinished. So for years, Africa was told, just export where you're good at. Turns out Africa's also good at finishing the job. What people think this headline means is, oh, look, another Chinese project in Africa, same old story, cue the familiar voice. Africa isn't industrializing yet. And the deeper global context here is that high purity graphite is not optional anymore. It's essential for electric vehicle batteries, energy storage systems, electronics, and defense technologies. And here's the uncomfortable part for Western supply chains. China currently dominates graphite processing, not just mining. So when Mozambique builds processing capacity on African soil, it doesn't weaken Africa necessarily. It repositions it inside the global energy transition. And this matters for African power because this isn't dependency, this is timing. Africa owns the minerals, Asia built the processing playbook. Now, the value chain is relocating closer to the source. And that's leverage, not charity. So Africa just stick to raw materials processing is too complex. Someone typing from an iPhone powered by African minerals, but I digress. So let's talk consequences, right? First, jobs. Not temporary digging jobs, technical, industrial, long-term roles. Secondly, local value addition. Every ton processed domestically means higher export revenue, more tax capture, less vulnerability to price swings. And then thirdly, youth positioning. Mozambican engineers aren't watching the EV revolution from YouTube anymore. They're working inside of it. And then fourth, regional signal. So this tells Africa something quietly but powerful. You don't need permission to industrialize. You need capacity and timing. For years, Africa was told to wait its turn, and it turns out the future doesn't wait, it sources. And this also builds on what we've covered in previous Africa Power reports about minerals like lithium, cobalt, and gold. And the pattern should be clear now. Africa is no longer asking, can we? Africa is deciding, where do we process? So let's talk about what comes next. And this is where analysts usually blink, right? More midstream facilities, more regional processing hubs, more African located industrial chains tied to global demand. And here's the quiet shift no one wants to headline. As the EV transition accelerates, countries that control process inputs, not just raw ores, will shape pricing, supply stability, and geopolitical leverage. Mozambique isn't racing, it's positioning. And don't be surprised if the next headline reads something like African graphite benchmarks emerge, EV supply chains rebalance towards Southern Africa. And if you watched our earlier episode on Africa's mineral leverage, you can see that this is the next chapter. So I'll leave you with one sentence of truth, right? Africa's future isn't buried underground. It's being refined above it. So, mashallah, that's your African insight for today. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe because I'm MrEmpowerTV. We don't chase the headlines, we chase the truth behind them. This is Mr. Empower, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.